Welcome back, and today we are going to be playing out the F-18A. It's a 12.3 version, and on release I had a pretty miserable time with this thing because I kept getting rammed, team killed and all the good stuff. So I just postponed it for a little bit, I flew it again, and honestly, I'm pleasantly surprised. Yes, the plane is relatively slow, and the missiles and the loadout in general aren't all that. You have AIM-9Ls and AIM-7Ms for air-to-air essentially. And, well, the AIM-9Ls are non-ILCCM, they're not that great at close range, and the AIM-7Ms are pretty easily fooled, even on accident sometimes. And while the airframe isn't fantastic, it's still pretty good, and it's especially fun to use. Yes, you don't maintain that much energy, the acceleration is pretty good, and the controllability overall is very good. So you can just point your nose wherever you want it, and it will do what you want. Just be careful of very low speed maneuvers. While you do pull a lot of AOA, your rate essentially stops to exist, and this makes you essentially just drift in place. If you fly planes like the T2, you know exactly what I mean, where your gun might actually be able to point very high up, but your plane itself isn't actually moving that much. So in a continued fight, this isn't really going to help you much, and in a defensive state, this is just going to get you killed because you're going to air brake and give them a full profile shot. But offensively, it's very strong, and in the one circle, this plane will be able to catch people off guard relatively easily. At the start of the game, I like to hang back a little bit and try to joust. You only have 4 AIM-7Ms, or at least in this loadout. And I do try to outrange the enemy. Keep in mind that the AIM-7Ms aren't that fast. And if you run into something like an ER, for example, you need to abort. You cannot contest those missiles at long range. But something like an F-18 or anything else with just regular Fox 1 missiles that aren't the ER, if you know how to F-pull and such, and if you don't, I advise you to check out my video on it. It's actually pretty easy to collect a kill or two at the start of the game. But I do like to be more defensive because I just don't have the presence and I don't have the speed to be aggressive at the start. Now, if you're in the down tier, it's okay to be aggressive, but in your own tier or an up tier even, if you get swamped, it is absolutely over. You don't have the speed to disengage, you don't have the retention to maintain a defensive posture. You will be withered down and you are going to get clapped. So just try to keep your distance at the start, look for opportunistic targets, and then once the game kind of transitions into the 2v2, 3v3, you know, the end stages, this thing is pretty damn solid. The flight performance is definitely there. The only real issue is that everyone can just kind of run away from you if they so desire, which is kind of annoying because defensively you're not that strong and you kind of have to bait people in order to fight. I like to start just below control height. Now here I just went a little bit over, but it's not too big of a deal because there's clouds everywhere and the people on the deck aren't really paying attention. So I start from the back line a little bit higher up, and then I look for the fight to kind of transition into a furball. And if it does, I will pounce on it and see if I can get a kill or two out of it. I see some missiles coming in, I'm trying to keep my awareness, but I also see a Gripen below us and that thing needs to go. This thing will ruin your entire life. So I decide to pitch straight down and shoot a missile at him. I sacrifice some position, I'm not at high altitude anymore. And if I meet someone now, especially with Fox 3 missiles or perhaps with an ER, I need to be wary of that. But I like to be at this kind of altitude later on in the game because it allows me to do something very specific. I like to have a slight amount of altitude just so that I can do exactly this. We shoot a missile from a higher alt. I dive to the deck, I go into a slight multipad, and because the missile is leading, it slams into the ground, my missile goes over the terrain, and down goes the Su-27. More of that in a little bit. Start off at medium alt, clouds everywhere again, I see the tornado pass under me, that is not a priority target, I do not care about the tornado, so we're just gonna go straight for the Mirage. Now, I'm not sure if this guy is gonna be dying in a second, but I have a good solution here, so I'm just gonna wait for the missile of the F4J to pass. If he doesn't hit him, I'm gonna lick him up. But he does die, so now at least I didn't waste a missile. So we go back into the terrain and we start looking around. The tornado is flying in front of us. Again, not a priority, but his MiG-23 definitely is. Keep a little bit of altitude, dive that missile into the ground. He doesn't go low enough, and down he goes. I find it a little bit more reliable than multi-padding. But multi-padding, sometimes the missile ends up hitting you or just slams directly underneath you and splashes your entire plane into oblivion. So I'd rather just play it safe, get a little bit more altitude. It's a little bit more timing based and you can end up slamming into the ground. But I find it a little bit more reliable, especially on maps like this where it's completely littered in dots. Again, I'm not entirely sure what's going on with the scenery in this match. But on maps like this, it's actually kind of annoying the multipad because the height differences are pretty small. And sometimes you end up flying over a small ditch just as the missile is about to hit you. It retracts and it hits you anyway. So you can use this to your advantage. But again, preferably I just use the terrain itself or just run the missile into the ground. We have a little bit more altitude again. So I'm just going to shoot the missile top down. He is not looking at us. So I expect this missile to hit, but last second he manages to roll it. And that's the curse of the AIM-7. However, the F-20 now kind of pulls directly in my forehead. So I get a pretty free solution, but the issue is MiG-23 comes in, so instead I'm going to switch my attention to him. He goes down. Both these guys are relatively slow, so I'm able to recommit into this fight and have a pretty easy time picking them off. There's teammates around, I have plenty of energy, I have altitude, so all I really need to do here is lick them up as I come back in. Shoot an AIM-9L at the FGR. It's probably not going to hit, he's probably going to flare it, and he does. But the F-20 is now directly in front of me and we just shoot him directly in his ear. Pull up and over. FGR has no chance in this kind of fight. So I just kind of maintain my energy for a little bit. And then we just stamp on the elevator. Because I know there is a second guy coming. The F-16 is on my radar. So we need to kill this FGR right here. We do so. And now we are very slow in front of this F-16. So I'm going to try to just bob and weave around his gun. We managed to do so. Our landing flaps come out almost instantaneously, and that's not me pressing the button, that is the plane. And this is one of the issues that I have with this vehicle, because it creates so much drag, it kills your speed entirely, and it makes you almost unable to start accelerating. So right now I'm trying to maintain my energy while sitting behind him. I'm trying to make this guy go defensive, because I need to build my speed up, because this guy is trying to raid fight me. He's going way too fast, however, so I'm actually able to kind of close the gap and got inside of him. SU-24 shows up on the right, but I'm not entirely worried. I do want to set up a little bit for him, but it looks like he's going to be ignoring us for the time being. So I just want to sit behind this F-16, create a little bit of distance, and after I create a little bit of an opening, I can start pulling back in. And even though he might be faster than me, I can continuously cut off his flight path and close the gap that way. Now he is actually aware of what I'm doing. And he starts dodging and weaving. I'm only going 900. He's going quicker than us. I try to line the shot up here, but I'm just not able to connect it. He does dodge on time. And again, he's going to be outrunning me. I need to keep looking behind me because I know there is still 2 or 3 enemies alive. And I'm just trying to sit behind this guy and trying to force him into a mistake. Now, it's not really working as of right now, other than the fact that he's raiding way too quickly. So again, I open up the gap. I keep my speed a little bit higher than usual. I'm raiding too fast for my plane, but it's fine because he's doing the same thing and I'm actually able to maintain my energy this way. F-16 is going very wide right now, and I see that he's cutting his afterburner. And because he's cut his afterburner, I'm expecting him to go into a bit of a dogfight, so I'm going to cut my throttle as well. We're going to actually slam on that elevator and try to get behind him. He is still behind us as of right now, but he cut so much afterburner that I can sit above him, and I'm expecting to get the shot right here, but I misjudged it just a tiny bit, and now the fight is over. If I try to continue from there on out, if he pulls into the correct direction, which I didn't expect him to do, but I'm still not going to risk it. I'm just going to fly away, I'm going to get my speed back, we're going 900, he's not going that quick, and I want him to start turning relatively quickly, so I can actually energy trap him while burning all my speed. So we merge with him at 900, which is basically optimal for us. He's going very slow, so all I need to do is just cut outside of his nose. We go straight vertical. He doesn't have the energy to do this, and I do have the lift to complete this myself. So we just kind of go up and over. He probably wants to go flat here, or perhaps even up, but he goes down a little bit, and because of that, I'm able to cut inside of his loop and miss the shots entirely. But we're still behind him. We're going 500-ish. So we should be able to just kind of slot onto a 6 and wait for the kill shot. He's way too slow, he can't really recover from that, and he goes into a flat spin. If you're watching this, rate a little bit slower, pull a little bit harder. You don't actually want to use all of your speed. You want to turn some of that speed into rate in order to actually outturn your opponent. Otherwise, you're just going to sit in front of the enemy the entirety of the fight, and eventually the guy is going to get a shot on you. So here, again, medium altitude, people are shooting missiles all over the place. I'm not going to be dealing with that, so I just kind of break off and go towards my team. I just haven't done anything just yet other than go defensive, but we shoot off the first missile on the guy that's not paying attention and is locked in with someone else. We lick him up, and we just kind of disengage again. We don't really have the speed to do this, but in this kind of matchmaker, it's actually more than okay. We turn around and we start looking for our next victim. Now we only have water here, so we can actually multipath relatively reliably. But I'm just looking for a target that's not paying attention or that's locked in with someone else. So the Mirage is going for my 2 friendlies on the left of my screen. I don't want to shoot it here, however, because he's probably going to end up notching it. So instead I switch over to the F-14 and I start reeling in the Mirage after that. F-14 goes down relatively quickly, way too slow to do anything, and then we lead the AIM-9L and we shoot down the F-1CT. But he flares it last second and I missed my gun kill because I didn't expect him to actually flare that one. We pull back in, he's still running away and he's going to be a little bit quicker than us, so I'm probably not going to be able to secure this kill. But I don't need to, because we have an R73 on the case. On R60 MK even. He goes down, and for now, the game is looking pretty good. But there are reinforcements coming. I see a control at altitude, I see a Mirage coming in here, and I see a missile on the right. So there are 3 guys coming in, shoot the missile on the Mirage, and he does the thing that I've been showing you throughout this video, where you dive into the terrain and you make the missile end up hitting the ground. Now in this case it hits an apartment complex and we kill Timmy and his 2 little brothers, so we still managed to get 3 kills out of that missile. We disengage, we kill the KWS, he wasn't really paying attention, pretty free kill. We turn back in, F-18C, not really going for me, so we can just wrap it up and go for him. And at this point he's not really paying attention. He is pulling in, however, and he is flaring, so I just need to go for the gun kill. We shoot off his wingtip and he goes into the mountain. And yes, that is still a mountain. We fly towards the enemy airfield and we notice the F-14 on the radar, on the RWR, and we see missiles coming in. Now the likelihood of this being a Phoenix is about 100%, so I just try to snake it about. I try left, right. Last second we pull in, it doesn't hit below us, and we're able to pull underneath the F-14. And he just runs away. And this is the sad truth of the F-18. You just have to look at this very often if you try to fly this thing. It's probably my biggest pet peeve. But if it was any faster, it probably would be a higher BR, especially the premium one. Now he starts shooting his Phoenixes. And, I mean, you can already tell where it's going. This guy has no trigger discipline. The Mirage is flying directly at me. I had an idea that I'd get a free kill out of it. But instead, he hits him directly on the forehead with an AIM-54. A little bit unfortunate on his end, but he does end up killing the KWS on my team. And now we're kind of in a 1v1. I mean, there is an F4S here, but let's be honest, he's about to get clapped anyway. And there we go, down he goes, and here comes the F-14. He starts turning very hard, he's burning a lot of speed. I can tell that he doesn't have his afterburners on. Now I do want to be careful that he doesn't end up splitting the throttles, but I'm just going to show old man Maverick over here why the F-18 replaced the Tomcat. We just kind of pull directly behind him. Epstein in the background catches some strays in his truck. Not entirely sure how I managed to hit that. But Tomcat goes down and now I need to get away from here because the Mirage is coming in. Now I know that he's alone for now. I do have a little bit of time because I know that the other Mirage is RTB. So I just need a little bit of separation and I just want a little bit of extra speed. So I want to open up the gap for now. I want to sit right here. We're going to pre-flare for his magic wand. And we're just going to pull in hard in order to defeat his missiles as well as merge with him properly. He's gonna catch me anyway. Running away isn't gonna help me. We cut the throttle, we turn very hard, we try to sit above his nose and we try to just kind of fall in behind him, but we burn a little bit too much speed. So he is gonna be able to run away here, but he goes back up again and I'm able to actually reel him in relatively easily. He goes flat, I'm gaining, he goes down again, he's gonna give me a very free shot, but the first shot I underlead and then I overlead completely and I know the second guy is coming in and I can't shed enough speed, so I'm just gonna bitch slap him out of the air. It does cost me my wing, but we go into a bit of a spin, we recover almost instantly because War Thunder is a joke and we start diving out. Now at this point I wasn't entirely sure what missile that was, but that's an air-to-ground missile, funnily enough. So we are gonna start turning in here. I do want to take the fight with the Mirage, even though my wing is crit. We need to pre-flare a little bit in case he has Magic 2s equipped. And we just want to go under him and make sure that we don't end up getting clapped. Now that guy doesn't have a radar, so I know that I don't need the multipad, I just need the pre-flare. The speed bleed now is absolutely horrendous, but luckily this guy is very much occupied with killing ground targets and just goes back to the runway, which is perfect for us because now we can land and rearm. He pops a blind hunt and I know that again those are not radar missiles. those are again PGMs, I'm pretty sure. So I'm just gonna merge with the Mirage. I'm just gonna pre-flare him yet again. And all we really need to do is just complete the first turn and shoot straight into his cockpit. So we do bleed a little bit of extra speed here to just solidify the position. We get the shot here, he starts going vertical, he's bleeding a bit more speed than he should. We get the same freest kill of the world, just like with the previous Mirage, except this time we actually nail him in the cockpit. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.